The purpose of today's hearing is to examine the dominance of Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and Google. Our two objectives have been to document competition problems in the digital economy and to evaluate whether the current antitrust framework is able to properly address them.
I appreciate that question, and I like it a lot because I really want a chance to address that. There are multiple reasons that we might buy a company. Sometimes we're trying to buy some technology or some IP. Sometimes it's a talent acquisition. But the most common case is market position, that the company has traction with customers. They've built a service. Maybe they were the first mover.
A New York Times report found that when users say, Alexa, buy batteries, Alexa responds, would you like to buy AA Amazon basic batteries? So has Alexa ever been trained to favor Amazon products?
We do promote our own products, which is, of course, a common practice in business.
Mr. Cook, Apple is the sole decision maker as to whether an app is made available to app users through Apple's App Store. Isn't that correct?
Because we care so deeply about privacy and security and quality, we do look at every app before it goes on. They can write their apps for Android or Windows or Xbox or PlayStation. So we had fierce competition at the developer side and the customer side.
In 2007, Google purchased DoubleClick, the leading provider of certain advertising tools. When Google proposed the merger, alarm bells were raised about the access to data Google would have, specifically the ability to connect a user's personal identity with their browsing activity. In June of 2016, Google went ahead and merged this data anyway, effectively destroying anonymity on the internet.
I review at a high level all important decisions we make. We deeply care about privacy and security of our users.
So you signed off on the decision?
User consent for.
Okay, you signed off on the decision.
Mr. Pichai, most Americans believe that when they enter a search query that what Google shows are the most relevant results. But increasingly, Google just shows whatever is most profitable for Google.
We have always focused on providing users the most relevant information, and we rely on that trust for users to come back to Google every day.
Would you agree with me that Facebook, its strategy since that time to essentially protect what I describe as a monopoly, but obviously what you would describe as market power, that Facebook has been engaged in purchasing competition?
It's all in service of building the best services.
You purchased Instagram to neutralize a competitive threat.
The acquisition has done wildly well, largely because not just of the founders' talent, but because we invested.
In 2013, it was reported that you instructed Amazon employees to approach discussions with certain business partners, and I quote, the way a cheetah would pursue a sickly gazelle.
Our investigation shows that Google's response was to threaten to delist Yelp entirely. In other words, the choice Google gave Yelp was let us steal your content or effectively disappear from the web.
Facebook saw Instagram as a threat that could potentially siphon business away from Facebook. And so rather than compete with it, Facebook bought it.
To the fact that Apple had its own parental control apps that were competing with these third-party apps contribute to Apple's decision to kick them off the Apple Store. Mr. Cook, what do you think?
No, sir, I disagree strongly with that.
Well, I don't agree, with great respect, I don't agree with that premise.
Congressman, I disagree with that characterization.
Congressman, with respect, I strongly disagree with that characterization.
I'd like to redirect your attention to antitrust law rather than fringe conspiracy theories. Mr. Bezos, our investigation...
Mr. Chairman, we have the email. There is no fringe...
Excuse me, it's not your time.
Jordan, you do not have the time.
I'll just cut to the chase. Big tech's out to get conservatives. That's not a suspicion. That's not a hunch. That's a fact. Is Google going to tailor its features to help Joe Biden in the 2020 election?
In fact, can be the very election interference that we're concerned about, and that you're using your market dominance in search to accomplish that election interference.
Donald Trump Jr. got taken down for a period of time because he put something up on the efficacy of hydroxychloroquine.
Congressman, well, first, to be clear, I think what you might be referring to happened on Twitter, so it's hard for me to speak to that. But I can talk to our policies about this.